U.S. soldier Kimberly Rivera left the United States in 2007 to go to Canada because she did not want to go back to Iraq. She didn't believe in the war, and she felt that she was a conscientious objector to that war. So she did go to Canada. She had 2 children since then in Canada. However, Canada has decided to deport her back to the United States, where she will face prosecution and possibly time in prison.
See, this is what I'm talking about when I say our politics have gotten so much more right-wing. And unfortunately in Canada, they've gotten a little bit more right-wing too with the latest government. You know, in Vietnam, how many people went to Canada? And Canada didn't throw them under a bus. They're like, hey, we get it. That was a dumbass war. You want to hang out here for a while? Okay, no problem, right?
And Jimmy Carter gave him amnesty, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. And since he pardoned them, you know, of course, the right wing flipped out. But of course, the guys who flipped out were Dick Cheney, 5 deferments from Vietnam, Mitt Romney, who ran to France to not go to Vietnam, Tom DeLay, who said the minorities took his spot, otherwise he would have gone to Vietnam. Newt Gingrich, who got, 7 deferments or something like that, did not go to Vietnam. Rush Limbaugh, who said I have a tail, so he wouldn't go to Vietnam. I'm surprised he didn't say I have a tail and an incredibly small penis. Okay, so now, in this case, look, there's the right way to do it, and if you're a conscientious objector, you shouldn't necessarily go to Canada. There's a process for that. And to his great credit, Muhammad Ali went to prison for his conscientious objection during the Vietnam War. He didn't pull a punk move like Cheney and Gingrich and all those guys. He said, look, I believe this, and I'm willing to go to prison for it. So I have great respect for him, as a lot of people do. Now, in her situation with her kids, et cetera, is she going to go to prison? I'm not saying she should. I wish Canada didn't throw her under the bus, and I wish we had a more sane process by which to do this.
Why is... I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm sure there's a good reason for why the military is so tough on people who object to wars.
Why is that?
But I don't know what that reason is, and I want to understand it better, because I feel like it should be protected as political speech if you are a member of the military and then you find out, oh my God, we're about to go to war, and it's for a stupid reason, and I object to it.
No, look, this is the oldest thing in the military, because forever there's been deserters. Now, I can get into this here that a little bit more, but that's why they think deserter is the worst thing. If I say we're going to war, the #1 rule in the military is everybody follows me, okay? And if you don't follow me, that is the worst crime you can do. So they do have conscientious objector, but you got to go through an enormous process, and they're not the yada yada, et cetera,
and
right?
you mentioned that Ali had to spend time in prison because of that, right?
Right.
So part of that process is going to freaking prison for having your own political beliefs.
To be fair, I don't know how it works now, and you know, you'd have to go back into the Muhammad Ali case to see what exactly happened there. Now, look, in the old days, the reason there was deserters is because a king would declare a war, and he'd tell all the peasants, okay, now you go fight for me so that I can feel like I'm a bigger man, right? And at some point, the peasants would go, fuck this, and I'm about to get killed, that army looks bigger, and they'd run for the hills. So the first thing they had to do was kill all the deserters so that they wouldn't do their natural instinct, which is to run for the hills, right? Especially because they weren't going to gain a goddamn thing out of it. Sometimes they'd get to rape and pillage. Okay, fun. And then that was part of the reason. Sometimes mercenaries would get paid for war. But again, #1 issue was if they felt the tide is turning and they're going to die, they'd run. That's why when anybody runs in the military, it's the biggest crime.
I don't want anyone to take what I'm about to say in the wrong way, okay? But what incentive do people have to join the military? Because of the way that we treat our veterans, because of the fact that we are engaging in all these ridiculous wars in the Middle East, like, what incentive is there? I mean, especially when you see the way our leaders run this country.
Yeah,
they don't give a shit about the military. The people in government don't care about our soldiers at all. And then if you object to something politically, you have absolutely no say. So what is the incentive? I want to know.
I saw a football game where they had the jets fly over and guys parachute in. People love them. What are you talking about? We love our military.
Well, we do the propaganda so that it seems like it's a really cool thing to do, and they offer financial incentives for people who are in really hard spots. And look, but I'll go over the top of you. I mean, if somebody in my family wants to join the military now, I'd say, hell no, under no circumstances. I'll lock your ass in a basement before I let you join this military. Why? Not because I hate this country. I love this country. And if our country was actually under threat, hell yes. Let's soldier up. Let's, stand a post, right? But our country is not under threat. Instead, we're using the military to do the bidding of different multinational corporations, whether it's oil companies, it's banks, it's whoever is profiting, the defense contractors. And I'm going to have my son, my nephews, my nieces, someone I know go and get killed so that ExxonMobil can make a little bit more money, or more realistically, well, it's all realistic, but Raytheon and Lockheed Martin makes an extra dime? Hell no, under no circumstances. Okay, Kimani.
Were you ever in a position in college or in high school where you talked to a military recruiter?
No, that's the other thing, right? So we're Mitt Romney in that sense, right? We haven't been in a situation. Like, I lived in a nice suburb. The military didn't come recruiting in our place because they know, hey, these guys are okay. They're not going to want to come to the military because they're not desperate, right? Now, what have you talked to one, Kimani?
Oh, yeah.
Right.
So in my town, we grew up, and a lot of the time, by the time you graduate high school, you've never had $200 to rub together. And then you have a military recruiter coming in saying, sign up. We're going to give you a $1,000 signing bonus and $20,000 a year. That sounds amazing if you're growing up in a situation where you don't have that amount of money to access. So you have to give people a little bit of credit there.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Look, and that's how they rope folks in.
But who are we giving credit to? The people who are exploiting the kids that are in a rough situation, or?
No, just saying, hey, listen, you got to understand why they sign up, which is...
I definitely understand that, but I think that's exploitation. I think that's exploiting people that are in a rough situation, and I don't agree with that.
And then what's the first thing they say? Oh, it was all voluntary. You didn't have to sign up.
Right.